Turn to the runway, then a left turn and a left downwind. Cessna over the threshold, coming up on the white dot, at or beyond the white dot, left turn first available. I got a high wind coming up on about a half-mile final, clear to land at or beyond. Traffic on the left face, you're following a Cessna down, low off your left. Square it up just a little bit, and then we're going to get you in. Start your descent, though. Start your descent on the base. Traffic on final, give me follow on base. Base traffic, start turning toward the numbers now. High wing coming up on quarter-mile final, take it all the way down to the green. Cessna taxiing on the green, expedite down to the next hard surface. Get me some speed, there you go, 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 go fast. This is going to be good. I got traffic on a mile final, you're following traffic ahead and to your right. High wing coming up on the threshold, take it all the way down to the green dot.
5 Charlie Sierra, 2 mile final.
A mile final, turn north, and we're going to just make you, we're going to bring you back around. Jet traffic's coming up on about a mile and a half final, runway 9er clear to land.
Okay, all right, let's listen up, guys. If you're on final for runway 9, I want you to offset to the left. I got a jet that's landing on runway 9. The jet's cleared to land runway 9 if you can make it. If not, just continue straight ahead. It looks like you're going around for the jet. That's fine, that's fine, that's fine.
Oh, we had one right in front of us, sir.
Dragger. Let's see, what we got, a tricycle. Tricycle, put it down. Tricycle, put it down. Tricycle, put it down. Tail dragger, down to the green dot, then a left turn. Short final here, you clear to land on 9 all the way to the white dot. Go down to the white dot. Find somebody to follow out here. Canard, just come to the runway, and I might have to just send you around. That'll be fine. And for the jet, you just want to stay in this pattern, or you want to go back out for an instrument approach?
Stay in a pattern, Charlie Sierra.
All right, just stay with me here for a minute. And my tail dragger, let's see, over the numbers, go down to the green. And Canard's going to have to go around. Canard, go around. Canard, go around. Canard, go around. And my high wing here over the runway, keep it airborne. Keep it airborne. You do not descend. Do not descend. You got a fast guy behind you. Do not descend. There you go. Keep it airborne. Keep it airborne. As soon as the guy behind you gets slowed down, I'm going to put you down. So keep it airborne. The one that just passed the white dot, make a left turn on the hard surface. All right, my high wing tail dragger, you can put it down now. You can put it down now. And Charlie Sierra, let me get you about a mile off. Let's see, Charlie Sierra, I lost. There you are. Make a left-hand turn. I'll try to resequence you here on the downwinds. We'll see how it looks. Short final, you're clear to land runway 9 on the white dot. Clear to land on the white dot. There you go. And the tricycle left on the hard surface and follow the flagman. Welcome. Thanks for being part of the show. And let's see, just find somebody to follow out follow on the final. And as you get close to the runway, if it's not going to work, we're going to send you around and then try to resequence you. Now, who else got sent around that's not back on the downwind? The Canard?
Yeah, Canard.
All right, Canard, there's a Gulfstream up there that went around too. I just lost sight of him, but you're going to make kind of a left-hand turn and stay low. I think Charlie Sierra, what's your altitude?
3,200.
Okay, that'll be fine. Just maintain VFR. I don't know what else is up there above you. Probably most everybody's down here, so just make a left-hand turn. We'll try to get you back here.
Canard's got the jet in tight.
Okay, the RV, maybe an RV-10, whatever, you're on final. Keep your speed up and go all the way down to the, aim for the green dot for me. Actually, keep your speed up. There's a guy behind you. Aim for the green dot, and I'm sure that's plenty of room for you to land on runway 9. You're clear to land on runway 9. Number 2, you're going to go down to the white dot. Follow the white dot. Actually, you know what? That's 1,500 feet. You're going to land at the white dot. The spacing looks adequate here. 2 guys on final. You're kind of tight there. Keep each other in sight, and you're going to aim for the white dot. If it's not going to work, we'll come up with a plan B. We might have to send you around. The second guy behind you out there in about a 2-mile final. Are you slow enough to be able to follow that guy in front of you? You need to go around. Well, I probably shouldn't ask that because I had about 5 guys answer me, so I should know better than that. After 35 years, you would think, right? All right, so let me see. The guy who's number 1, it's number 1. What kind of airplane is he? An RV type. All right, RV type. Keep it airborne for me. Keep it airborne. And I got a fast guy behind you. The number 2 guy over the trees there. Go ahead and put it down on the numbers. Put it down on the numbers. My first guy just coming up on the numbers at the over the grass at the numbers. I want you to keep
T-minus 1 minute and counting.
Hello.
Four, 3, 2, 1.
Hello.
Hello, how you all doing? Thank you very, very much for joining us, and welcome to yet another Thursday Night Flyer live stream. Tonight's going to be a little bit different, but I'll come to that in a minute, because first I need to say thank you very much, 4Flight, for sponsoring the live stream. And this here is 4Flight Sentry. It's a dual-channel ADS-B receiver with a inbuilt carbon monoxide detector and a little AHARS, so you can figure out which way up you are on 4Flight. So I've been flying with this. Good thing too. So thank you very much, 4Flight. Yep. So this week's not really going to be different, but I've been away a week. I've been working my bottom off with on a CRI course with the fine chaps on track. So hello, if you're there, thank you very much. And so I've missed all of the recordings, the planning, the rehearsals. Yes, it's true, we do rehearse. You wouldn't think so, would you, sometimes? But we do. So tonight could well be rougher than a rough thing. So what have we got? We've got a whole bunch of news. I'm not quite sure what news we got, but we got a bunch of it. We have got Rob Barltrop from Lancashire Barnstormers, who's going to be interviewed by Johnny. He's going to take the Right Stuff quiz a little bit later. We've got a video from Simon talking about weather. We've got Fantasy Hangar. We've got, we've got stuff. We've got lots of stuff. So let's get on. If you were watching last week, you would have noticed, and you're sharp, which I'm sure you all are, you would have noticed that Simon wasn't with us. And so watch this video to figure out why. Here we go with your weekend weather.
Hi everyone, sorry I can't join you live this evening, but I do have an excuse, and this is it. Last Friday my appendix decided that it had had enough of me after nearly 50 years and left my body via emergency surgery. So I do apologise for not being on camera and not being live with you tonight. The recovery process is well underway. Thanks for all of your very many kind messages. If you are lucky enough to be flying this weekend, I don't think I'll be up there for a wee while. It looks half decent actually through Friday. I think I'm going to say generally VFRable for most areas. Still quite misty and murky though, but I think it will be flyable. One or two showers just developing across parts of the southern Midlands, across parts of central Ireland as well, perhaps parts of northern England and southwest Scotland. But overall, it's not too bad. You see here the ceilings are fairly high. Those green colour showing bases of about 2,000 feet or so above ground level. So actually, it's not looking too bad at all. Now, as far as Saturday is concerned, things do change. We've got a front that moves its way in from the southwest during the course of Saturday. It brings cloud, it brings some outbreaks of showery rain with it, and ahead of it we'll find some pretty heavy thunderous showers developing. So I do think that for much of Ireland, of much of Wales, of much of western, central and southern parts of England, here we could find conditions being marginal to non-VFR, with bases probably coming in at around 2,000 feet. The tops could be at 20 to 25,000 feet. Better across central and eastern parts of Scotland, probably better across eastern England at first, but even here I think the showers will get going through the course of the afternoon. And you see here on the ceiling forecast really the mess that is those lower bases. Yellow colours on here showing 1,000 feet above sea level. You see that most of the showers are concentrated out towards the west, and as I say, they could be thundery at times. And then getting into Sunday, and remnants of a front across northern parts of England, southern parts of Scotland through Sunday. I think here we're going to be finding bits and pieces of rain around, fairly cloudy, quite a messy day. Marginal conditions overall, but there will be some cloud covering the hills here. Further south, some pretty heavy showers getting going through the course of the day across many parts of England, Wales and Ireland. Probably more so during the course of the afternoon, and bases typically 2,000 feet tops, getting up at around 20, perhaps up to 30,000 feet. Really unstable air mass. Northern Scotland again is going to be faring best of all. So probably local flying is possible through the course of Sunday afternoon. Now, talk about unstable air and the risk of showers. That's something that we cover at Aviation Weather School, and I'm going to be fighting fit and raring to get back in the saddle for this Aviation Weather School. I'll be well fit before that. But my next Aviation Weather School Part 1, and I've got 2 places available, is being held on the Sunday mornings of the 18th and 25th of July. It's presented live by me, and if you want to be able to build your confidence in forecasting the weather yourself, understanding the weather that you're seeing, because let's face it, you do the PPL, you don't really understand the weather, do you? What I try to do is to get you to understand the weather in the way that you should for flying, so that you know if you go and fly somewhere, you can fly back safely. And we talk about spotting weather windows as well, up to 5 days in advance. For more information on that, go to weatherschool.co.uk. You can book your place there now and read more about it. Well, I hope to be back live with you next week. I'm sure I will be. I'm feeling 100% better than I was. And as I say, thanks again for all your messages of support. Have a great weekend, guys. Enjoy your flying. I'll be watching from afar, but if you can get up there, do enjoy it, won't you? Thanks again for watching. Keep the sun shining, and bye for now.
Poor old Simon.
Yeah,
Get well soon.
Simon, if you're watching, get well soon. I hope your recovery continues. And could you sort out this weather for Saturday? Saturday, which is the Flyer Club fly-in. I'm sure Johnny will have something to say about that a little bit later, but that weather is looking interesting. Interesting. Let's leave it interesting. I have a quick question just before we move on to the news. This was something I spotted in the comments. Alan Kilbride was having some trouble with his ribs, and people were going, how are the ribs? So what happened? Did you fall over or something? Or just out of interest, we like to take care of our watchers. So let's move on to the news. I believe Dave's going to lead us off with a story about pipistrelle. Is that right?
They give me this story because it's pipistrelle. That's right, isn't it?
Fantastic.
Right? That's right, pipistrelle. Yeah. So pipistrelle, or rather their Australian agent at a flight school called Ear to Their Aviation. Anyway, Ear to Their Aviation have set a new record. They've yet to have it ratified, of course, but they've gone for endurance with the electric aircraft, the Velis Electro, and they've flown this thing for a total of 1,350 kilometres, not in one sortie, you have to say. It's in several sorties. They've got also the longest overwater flight of 30.8 kilometres. Doesn't sound very much. Furthest distance in a 24-hour period is 330 kilometres, and the fastest speed between waypoints of 177 kilometres per hour. This is for an electric aircraft. There's not a lot of competition out there, but they are actually competing against a Swiss team that set up the previous records. The impressive thing, perhaps, is that the ground crew were leapfrogging, and Australia is a big place, leapfrogging ahead to set up charging stations at the remotest spots, including various dirt strips. So it's they've done a great job, if you like, of bringing electric aviation to a wider audience. And they made TV in Australia, national TV. If you go to the Flyer website, there's a little clip from the TV station's report.
Well, I'm not entirely sure that record's going to be standing for very long. Somehow, I would have thought the 30 kilometres over water record. If we had an electric aircraft, we could probably have a go at cracking that ourselves, couldn't we?
Yeah. What's the point at which you have to carry a life raft and wear life jackets, because they're probably going to tip the weight and balance over?
Well, I don't know. If they got all these 6 people in, that's pretty impressive.
That's very impressive, yes.
There is a regulation for that. I can't quite remember. I guess it'll be in part NCO. Okay, what's the next story?
It's
I think this
World Championship Air Race news. So they announced this week that they'll stage their first season in 2022, and they'll operate on zero net carbon aviation fuel. So they're going to be working with a company called Prometheus Fuels that has some unique technology that creates fuel from air through a process that strips carbon dioxide from the air and converts it into hydrocarbons that's subsequently made into fuel. Now, it sounds all a little bit completely out there and a little bit pie in the sky, but there's a lot of science behind this.
Gas in the sky, you mean?
Yes.
Not pie.
Yeah, the electricity used in the process comes from renewable sources, and Prometheus is due to start selling approved fuel for ground vehicles later this year in California, which is obviously a real emissions and kind of environmentally controlled place. So you can see why that might have cropped up there. And Prometheus says its fuels are molecularly identical to those traditionally derived from fossils. So it will use the same storage, delivery, and combustion technology as things that are currently in place. And BMW are already partnering with them on its own drive towards net carbon neutral. So this could be a real serious endeavour. So maybe we'll have net carbon zero fuel for GA.
I'm guessing that avgas plucked from the air somehow is going to be a tad expensive per litre, would be my guess,
Who
at least
knows?
initially. But it's a good thing that it's happened. It's a good thing that it's starting, isn't it?
There's the manufacturer has all sorts of videos of the kit that they use to make it, and it all looks very, very serious. So.
Excellent. Well, I'm reading this. Bear in mind, I haven't seen this before. So the next item, I almost hesitate, is about Johnny's electric bottom.
Yeah, this is a great story. So the Airlander 10, which is that big thing that people see flying around Cardington, there's going to be a new one built, and it's going to have electric power systems supplied by Collins, which was Rockwell Collins. They'll be having 4 500 kilowatt electric motors in it, with the first tests expected in a couple of years' time. But it will be fully electric by the end of the decade. They're going to start with 2 normal engines. They were V12s, which are going to sound good. I'm guessing that's what it's got already. So 2 V12s and 2 500 kilowatt electric motors, and then they'll swap about 2030 to 4 electric motors. So yeah, it's going to be another, well, probably by far the biggest electrically powered aircraft that's ever flown.
Biggest electrically powered bottom-shaped aircraft that's ever flown.
And the poor old Airlander was a bit of a. It was. I would say something and nothing, but it was clearly an enormous something and nothing, because the various accident that after the flight at the ground accident, and then it blew away and deflated accident, and then it's not really had the greatest of success, has it?
Mm-hmm.
I think they need to establish their procedures a bit more, don't they? Because letting it drift away from a mooring
was possibly an error.
But the interesting thing about airships like that, because it's lighter than air, you actually have to drive it at the ground. So instead of pulling the throttle back when you want to come into land, you have to go to full throttle to aim it at the ground.
But if you remember, they had that rather unpleasant accident where it descended straight into the ground.
Yes.
Very slowly.
Yes. Yeah, very smoothly. But
like watching a car crash in slow motion.
Yeah. Does it? What problem are they solving with it? I'm not sure. So.
Yeah.
I remain skeptical on that one.
Yeah. Dave, over to you. You got another news story.
This is also about electric aircraft, and this is about the teams that are developing aircraft to compete in next year's Air Race E series. There's quite a few teams interested in this, and it's an interesting idea. Air Race have been trying to get a series off the ground for some years, but the Air Race E, the electric version, seems to have really captured the imagination. Anyway, 2 of the teams that have entered have opened their hangar doors to reveal what they're working on. One of the teams is taking a fairly conventional approach. They've taken an existing airframe and adding an electric propulsion system. That's the Nordic team. Another team is designing an aircraft from scratch, and they're called Team Pi Aeronefs. I guess that means something to somebody, but anyways, Team Pi Aeronefs. They're a Swiss team on the French side of France. They're based on the shores of Lac Léman. But if you've ever been to Geneva, that's that big lake out in Geneva. So it's a nice place to be. Anyway, Nordic is basing its aircraft on the Dassault 111M aircraft, well-known racer. And the team leader said, when entering Air Race E, we took the conservative approach of using a pre-existing combustion engine aircraft and converting it into an electric one. His rival at Team Pi Aeronefs, chap called Mark Umbricht, said, my focus has always been to develop the best race plane we could make. But be prepared to completely change your designs when something is not working. So maybe it's going to happen, maybe it's not. But anyway, it's good to see such enthusiasm and energy going into Air Race E.
And if you look at the photos online of the cassette that they're converting, basically from the pilot's feet completely forwards to the motor is batteries.
Yes. Yeah.
Well, I'm glad you stopped short of just alienating the entire country of Switzerland for us there. But I have to say, anything that's called Team Pie has got to be a winner, hasn't it? Really?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So we support Team Pie, absolutely, but not with
Is
any
that not the
sponsorship.
same in French? Pie.
No.
No, nor do I. No. Anyway, let's move on quickly.
Who's next?
It's me.
Well, I suppose it could be Team Magpie, I suppose, because a magpie in French is P. So depends how they're spelling it.
Yep.
There you go. Every day's a school day.
Yeah.
Right. So Johnny, back to you again.
Yeah. So we've got Mike Roberts, who's the boss of Take Flight Aviation, who are now based at Enstone. They set, along with a fellow pilot Nick Rogers, set another world record. So they landed visited the most UK counties in 24 hours earlier this month, and they started at Perth in Scotland at 3:55 a.m.
Not Australia.
No. Used to be a county. They eventually stopped at Newquay 18 hours later at nearly 10 p.m. at night. They'd made 50 full stop landings in 50 different UK counties, which was great. And they would have had more, but poor weather around the south and in Wales stopped them from landing in a few of them. But all in all, they really enjoyed it. They said most, if not all, of the airfields waived landing fees. And they're hoping to raise about £1,000 in total for air ambulances, and they did it in one of the Take Flight Cessna 172s.
Excellent.
So good on them.
Very good. 18 hours in a 172. That would have been challenging, wouldn't it?
Yeah. I guess there must have been some quick sprints across the airfield on landing at various places.
Yeah. By the end of the day, not much sprinting. I once spoke to a bloke called Kirby Ortega, who was like at one point head of piston training at Cessna. Yeah. When they launched the Skycatcher, the aeroplane that they don't talk about anymore because they're trying to erase it from history, he said that he went on a nationwide tour with this, and it was kind of it was their LSA, so it was a relatively spacious inside, but still a small airplane. He said to me, after I'd flown something like 12 hours, and I kind of almost needed a crane just to take me out. It took me took me a while to be able to stand up straight again. But anyway, so Ed, I think you're talking about something.
Art. Yes, aviation art. So the annual exhibition of the Guild of Aviation Artists, you've probably heard of them. That's being held online for the first time this year. Follows last year's event being cancelled following COVID restriction uncertainty, and follows 49 years of annual exhibitions in their normal London galleries. Nearly 300 original works of art from 94 different artists will be displayed in a virtual gallery, and that opens at 10 a.m. on the 19th of July. The Guild's annual exhibition attracts art buyers and enthusiasts from across the world. So I know that there's a news story about that on Flyer with the details of where you need to go if you want to see that. But yeah, opening on the 19th of July.
Really good. So if you want to buy yourself some aviation art, that's the place to be on the 19th of July, I guess.
There's nice stuff in there. So
there's some great stuff in there. That picture of the chipmunk that we have on the website, I think is a fantastic picture. Yeah.
Excellent.
Okay.
Good.
Up next.
Travis news.
Travis Ludlow, the lad who's flying around the world in a 172, aiming to be the youngest pilot to do so. He's in New York. And he's got there. This picture shows him flying up the Hudson River, I think. And he went on to fly around the Statue of Liberty many times just to make sure he got the shot. He put on Twitter a little flight aware thing showing him going orbits around the Statue of Liberty. Don't really think you're supposed to do that many, but anyway, whatever, he did. He flew to New York from Frederick, which is where AOPA USA are based. And he flew there from Florida. So he's having a great time flying around the US. He's having to put in this sort of zigzag route in order to make up the distance. To fly around the world and get a world record, you've got to fly a certain number of miles. Anyway, he's doing brilliantly. And I think from looking at his routing, he's next heading up to Maine to make the transatlantic trip.
Yep.
Excellent. Well, he must be. He's on his way back then.
Yes.
Back for team medals.
Yeah.
Well done, Travis. Ed.
Good stuff. Flying car news because we always need flying car news. The Klein Vision air car has made its first intercity flight. So this 35-minute flight was from Nitra in West Slovakia to Bratislava, the capital city, flown by Professor Stefan Klein, the air car's inventor. After landing, which was the air car's 142nd landing to date, they converted the aircraft back into a car in under 3 minutes. And this is very impressive. You just push a button, walk away from it, and it folds up. And then Professor Klein and his business partner drove it back to downtown Bratislava and say that they completed the typical journey in half the time. There's a video of it. I'll stick that in the comments so that you can see that. But you'll see it's quite the thing. It's a little bit interesting on landing when the rear wheels touch down and the nose follows very sharpish. But it's Professor Klein's becoming a bit of a star. You see him driving into Bratislava, and there's lots of applause and lots of cheering. So clearly a bit of a hero now. So,
oh, there you go. Well, yeah, I've seen an earlier version of that at Friedrichshafen, I believe.
There's been many versions of it, and this is the most advanced. But yeah, no, it's fascinating. You watch the video. I'm still not sure what problem it's solving, but Professor Klein is happy.
Okay, well, it's my turn now, so I've got a couple of last-minute stories. The first one is SpaceX launch aborted with about a minute to go, mainly because an aircraft infringed the what do we call them now? TFRs. TFR. So, and the thing that tickled me about this was they actually say the range was fouled. So I can imagine that Elon was probably not hugely happy because I think it was with about a minute to go, and I suspect there's that you can't just go, hang on a minute, no, don't start yet. I don't suppose they open the window of one of the launch pads and go, clear prop, or whatever it is. So I suspect that took a while, and it's probably cost a few quid too. So not a good thing. Don't do that again. And then the other slightly more serious story. I don't know if you remember last week I put a letter up that I had from the Department for Transport that basically it was a letter in reply to me writing to Secretary of State Grant Shapps saying, why the hell did you do this NREG CAA FAA licensing thing? What were you thinking? There are much better ways and easier ways. Interested in why you did it. The DFT wrote me a letter, a long letter which I put up last week, which basically said, included the words, the CAA decided. So kind of I'd assume that if the DFT send a letter saying the CAA decided, then, you can take that implication, can't you? Clearly the original question wasn't answered, but then, hey, well, what's new? So anyway, that was followed relatively shortly, the next day, I think, but not in time for last week's show, by another letter from the DFT. And this time it kind of omitted the stuff saying the CA decided. So clearly the CA didn't decide at all. It was the DFT who decided and then told the CA what to do. So apologies for that, CA. It wasn't you. It was DFT. It's not that don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that you're brilliant. There's still a whole load of mess that you need to clear up and a whole load of other things that you need to do. But we can get to that another week. So DFT, what were you thinking? I ask again. What were you thinking? I'll write to them again. I'll ask again. I have about zero expectation of getting an answer on that one. So there you go. That's my story for that. And at that point, I do believe. What have we got next? Oh, I think we've got
It
is time for the Right Stuff quiz.
There we go. It worked. So, joining us tonight is Rob Barltrop. Rob is an EasyJet training captain on the A320 and head of training for North West Aerobatics, an outfit offering aeros, UPRT, and other advanced training in an extra 200 at Barton. Rob, welcome to the Flyer Livestream.
Thanks. Good evening.
So, before you can have your interview with Johnny, it's my job to give you the Flyer Right Stuff quiz. So it's 10 quick-fire questions, and Ian will appear to give you your answers at the end. Are you ready?
Yes, let's go.
Okay, here we go. Airbus or Boeing?
Airbus.
North up or track up?
Heading up. Can I do that?
Whoa, we'll see.
Controversial.
Grass or hard?
Hard.
Go through or round controlled airspace?
Through it.
Cap or extra?
Extra.
Or stick or yoke?
Stick.
Barton or Blackpool?
Oh, that's controversial. Barton.
Paper chart or tablet?
Oh, what? Sorry, yeah.
Paper chart or tablet?
Oh, tablet.
Tablet. Manchester low-level route or a transit?
Transit.
And glass cockpit or steam?
Glass.
Wow.
Ian, how did Rob do?
Rob, you kind of... I'm going to have to take to the jury on this heading malarkey, heading up. I mean, I presume that's the same as course up, is it? Or...
Well, no, it's where you're pointing. So if something's to the left on your map, that's where you're
so we'll call that track up. It's definitely not north up. North up is the work of the devil, and we'll just call it track up, and we all know that track up is the one true way. So, Rob, congratulations! You actually scored 100 on our Right Stuff quiz.
That's fantastic.
So we're going to have to clearly get some other questions and get those sorted out for people. You can't have too many people scoring 100, obviously. But well done. Congratulations. At this point, I'm going to leave you to Johnny and enjoy your chat, and talk to you later.
Thank you, Ian. Rob, thank you very much for joining us. Now, North West Aerobatics, just start by telling us a bit about what the company is.
So we're quite a new company. We started up in August last year in the middle of a pandemic because we like a bit of a challenge, with an extra 200 providing sort of aerobatic flying training, bit of UPRT, bit of formation flying, just anything a bit beyond PPL stuff. So upset recovery, that kind of stuff as well.
Brilliant. And tell us about yourself as well. Is this the only type of flying that you do?
No, my day job is with the airlines. So I spend most of my time training new young FOs how to fly the 320. The aerobatic side is just the fun bit for me.
Right. Which one's more challenging? Who are the more challenging students?
That's a controversial question as well. I think the environment is very different, isn't it? The skill set to fly an airliner is quite different to the skill set flying aerobatics. So I can't really answer that.
So just tell us a bit about how you, as an airline captain and a training captain, got into the aerobatic side of things. Was it something you were interested in from a young age when you were learning to fly, or is it like a complementary thing that helps your day job?
Well, a bit of both, really. I think, like most of us, we all started in the Air Cadets, didn't we? And had that go in a bulldog for me, where you get a taster for throwing things upside down and pulling a bit of G, and a big grin on your face and all this kind of stuff. And that's kind of stuck with me all through my flying career. So even though I have been flying airliners, I've sort of kept up the SEP side throughout as well.
Fantastic. Now, where do you operate from?
Manchester Barton, although we have taken the aeroplane around the north a little bit. We've done some flying down at Halfpenny Green, a bit at Slape as well, and a little bit at Leeds East. So we're sort of spreading our love slightly.
Yeah, and doing aerobatics, you're based at Barton. That's quite a congested area. So tell us about how operating that kind of flying operation from that location. How is it?
Well, it's all right. It's perfectly safe, but I think our challenge is airspace, really. So just north of us, we've got a bit of TMA that's at 3,500 feet, so we have to operate below that. But of course, doing initial aerobatics that close to the ground can be not risky, but a bit of a challenge for the students. So if we go a bit further, we've got unlimited airspace, but then you're adding to the transit. So pay your money and take your choice, really.
Yeah. And having started in a pandemic, how has business been, and what kind of what is driving people to come and try doing UPRT or aerobatics? Yeah,
it's been surprisingly busy actually. We've been running through the 50-hour checks a lot faster than we inspected. So we've got a mix of students from PPLs that want to try something different, right through to airline guys coming back to flying again that want to fly something a bit different. So there's lots of variation in who turns up, and they all want different things as well. So some guys will want the aerobatics, some guys want to see the upset recovery. So it's great, lots of variety, lots of people. We enjoy it.
Yeah. And why did you pick the extra?
It's safe is the first answer. Safe, very capable airplane. Weight and balance isn't an issue for us. Performance is good, running costs are good, and it looks rather nice as well.
Yeah, I won't argue with that. So talk us through the kind of things that you teach people. There we go, there's the extra.
So aerobatics wise, we teach the aerobatic rating as our primary sort of approved course, as it were. But then once the guys have done that, we move on to competition coaching. So we've got Tony, who's our advanced level competitive pilot, who will take the guys right through sort of intermediate up to advanced competition flying. So there's a nice progression all the way through. The upset recovery stuff, for PPLs, we can do all manner of sort of interesting spin modes that you can't do on, you know, the more basic aerobatic aircraft. So it's really good value for those guys as well to see the theory behind a spin and how to get out of the more interesting versions of it.
Absolutely. And now in terms of your history, you were one of the first people to kind of conduct training on permit aircraft, weren't you? I know you're not doing that anymore, but how did that come about?
We were looking for something that we could use. I can't use the word commercially with a permit airplane, but for remunerated use. And we did find an airplane to do that, but it was all right. It was all right. But a limitation is that we can't do, well, it was at the time EASA work. So we were kind of limited in our market. Whereas now with a certified airplane, we can do everything.
Yeah. And what drove that permit aircraft idea? Was it a specific airplane you thought it would be great to, you know, teach people on that, or how did it come about?
Well, extras are expensive, and permit airplanes not so much. So we thought we'd give it a try with something a bit cheaper. But it turned out actually that when we looked into it, the value of the extra was just much better, especially for our students. The students get a lot more out of that aircraft than they would have done with our old stuff.
And lots of people watching this will have permit aircraft. Were there any differences in terms of, you know, was it presumably easier to operate than it was a C of A airplane?
Yeah, of course we could, even though it's remunerated use, we could do all the maintenance ourselves, which, you know, if you're a student, may or may not instill confidence in you, which brought the cost down. So overall, it's a cost thing.
Good. And now going forward, what are the plans for North West Aeros? Where are you going to take the business?
We're looking at a bit of expansion. So the extra is not brilliant for tailwheel training. So we get quite a lot of guys that have flown things like Firefly who want to come and do sort of more advanced aerobatics. And whilst we can do tailwheel training on it, it's not easy. It's a bit of a challenging aircraft for tailwheel training. So we're looking for something a bit less sporty on the approach that we can convert people onto tailwheel with. And perhaps maybe down the line, a slightly more powerful extra could be coming as well.
Have you got any thoughts as to what that tailwheel trainer could be? Have you, or even a fantasy airplane? Because
we've got our eye on a Citabria type airplane for tailwheel stuff.
Yeah, good pick. Good pick.
Yeah.
So, talking about your own flying, how did you get into aviation?
My family are sort of aviation related. So I've got relatives in the Air Force. My dad was aviation. So it was a kind of natural path for me, really. And then it was Air Cadets. Through school, I was sort of looking at becoming a pilot, did all, the physics and maths and all that kind of stuff. And then I did go to uni, but I hated it. So I was studying engineering. I wasn't very good at it either. And I got the opportunity for a scholarship with EasyJet. Very lucky to be in the right place at the right time. And that's how I got into the airlines. Haven't looked back since.
Fantastic. Good. And your own flying, do you do sort of other GA flying outside of North West Aeros?
I own a share in an RV7, which we use for sort of moving around. It's our support wagon, really. And along with Tony. Tony's got an RV6, which is the other support wagon. So we fly those quite a bit.
Fantastic. Good. And now going back to the kind of flying that you do, in terms of the people that have been flying with this year, unfortunately we couldn't show the clip, but there've been some people who are looking like they've not done aerobatics before. It's completely new to them. Is it something that you think is kind of appealing more to younger people or experienced pilots who want to sort of push their own personal envelope?
It's both, really. We get the thrill seekers, but we also get the more mature pilots who think it will help them become better pilots, which is great. I think it will.
Fantastic. Good. Well, I mean, you're perfectly welcome to stick around for Fancy Hangar if you've got an aircraft in mind.
Go on, I'll stick around.
Good. Okay, right. We're going to be talking about our favourite summer bimbling aeroplanes. So if we think we'll head over to Fancy Hangar now, roll the trailer and get everybody else in.
Hello.
Hello.
Back. Yeah. Well, there you go. Ed, you. Ed.
Muted.
Ed's muted. Hang on a minute. Let me. Ed. Ed, stop. Stop. Ed, you need to unmute yourself.
You're right.
Hey.
There we go. Hey.
Right.
It's like Ed is now silenced. It's perfect.
What were you saying then?
I know. Well, Paul Fraser Benison said Ed wins. I can't see how you say that yet, Paul.
I think he's got your money,
having
hasn't he?
silenced myself, so I didn't disturb the interview. It's time for Fancy Hangar. So as we're beginning to bask in the sunny summer evenings, we thought, what can we add to our Fancy Hangar that would be the perfect summertime bimbling aeroplane? So I'm not sure who's first up tonight. Johnny, who is it?
It is... It's Dave.
Right. Well, clearly...
It's a Luscombe.
The ideal bimbling aircraft would be a Luscombe. And actually, Rob, it would also be the ideal training aircraft for Tailwheel as well. However, I've already got one of those in pride of place in the Fancy Hangar. So clearly something different is called for. So I've gone for a paramotor. This is basically the wing is the parachute. And you unfold the wing to take off. You get the wind blowing into it to fill the wing. You then start the motor, and this time I want an electric one. And you run like hell in direction of wind to inflate the wing and get off the ground, hopefully. On the electric ones, interestingly, Mark Jeffries, who's runs Yak UK, he's also an agent for paramotors, electric paramotors, and a very keen paramotor enthusiast. And I'm with Mark on this. I think it's nothing better than trying a paramotor to go out and relax in the evening. Like tonight down here in the southwest, it would have been perfect. Other than the fact I'm here, of course.
Is that why you went for a run this morning?
Yes.
No, I went for a run for other health reasons.
Okay. Not in training for your paramotor.
That's it. Coming soon, Dave Flight Tests, electric paramotor.
Yes. I should say that a paramotor should come with a paramedic as well.
I like that suggestion. I was initially, before you said the electric thing, I thought, well, it's not going to be too relaxing, is it? Having a two-stroke running attached to your back. But the electric idea is a really good one.
I've just had another idea that I think is really good, and I'm gonna release it live. I'm gonna do a Christian Dries and see what you'll.
Oh no!
I know. Why don't we try and get Mark Jeffries on to tell us all about electric paramotors and paramotoring?
Why not? Excellent. We should
Mark Jeffries on.
Are you watching, Mark?
To do all sorts of things.
Steve Middleton, this is a harsh judgment already. Dave is now banned from Fancy Hangar for suggesting paramotors. Take away his key.
Wait till mine, Steve.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, who's next? I've got Ed.
Me. Well,
yeah.
In the past, we have had bimbling aeroplane, and I won the bimbling aeroplane category with a classic Piper Cub. And so it would have been easy to pick a Piper Cub for this one. But I'm going, it's summertime, so you can, it's nice to open the door on the Cub, but, clearly for an average bimble, you can also close it if you're cold. But for a summertime bimble, I reckon you need one of these. You need a Lockwood Air Cam. So this one's got floats on, but I'd probably go with one with regular undercarriage. But this is a pretty unique aeroplane in that you're beautifully exposed. You're up the front. You've got nothing really to get in your way, and it'll float around quite happily at 55 knots and kind of apparently something like 6 or 7 liters an hour. It's twin Rotax 912s, but they obviously don't have to work very hard because the airplane is very, very overpowered. But I just think that's Ian and I both were lucky to fly in one of these a few years ago with Phil Lockwood. And they are just a remarkable machine. Phil had this trick. He would take off, and there was a big lake just across from Lockwood HQ, and he'd lift off and then kind of drop down and fly around at 5 feet over the lake, and it was just amazing, just amazing. So I think that would be a magnificent bimbling aeroplane. So
he had this other trick as well, which when I went flying with him on the one with wheels, we taxied out to the runway and stopped at the hold line before taxiing onto the runway, and then I don't know, made a call on Unicom. Said, "Are you ready?" I went, "Yeah," and I thought we were going to line up, but he just went full throttle and took off before he actually crossed the other end of the runway. It was like, whoa! Didn't see that coming.
That's it. Yeah, there's a small matter of LAA approval because it's not LAA approved, but it's fancy hangar. So based on that, I reckon all I do is phone LAA and say, "Can you approve this?" And they say, "Yes, done."
And they say, "Is it not approved?" Wasn't there someone trying to get it approved in the UK a while back?
I think someone was working on it, but I don't think that's followed through. But I've heard it's funny. Just recently, someone asked me, they were thinking of building one, and they said, "Is that LAA approved?" So LAA is an opportunity.
The answer is either yes or not yet.
Not yet, exactly.
Johnny.
Yeah,
Johnny.
Well, I've gone for officially the quietest machine for a bit of summer bimbling, which is, if I find the picture, here we go, a hot air balloon. I mean, what more could you want? Silence, sat up there in the sky, watching the ground, listening to everything, probably drinking a beer as well as someone else is actually flying you.
Have you ever been in a hot air balloon, Johnny?
A tethered one?
No, he's still got the hair on top of his head, hasn't he?
Yes. They're quite noisy and hot, and noisy and hot.
And, the noise is intermittent, though, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah.
Every time a balloon comes over, dogs go crazy. They hate the noise and they hate the thing. So,
that was my pick.
Critically, Nick Allen asked the question: do balloons bimble?
No, I don't think so. They hang.
I don't think so.
They drift, don't they?
Yes.
Yeah. Good point. Fair enough. And yeah, funnily enough, that photo was taken by a friend of Rob and ours, actually, Rob Barltrop, who we'll bring back in and see what his answer is.
Ian Williams says
Johnny needs to be put away. Yep. I think we could. Ed, maybe next week we'll just do the fancy hangar ourselves.
This is a mind-opening experiment. Clearly, the viewers are going, "No, this is a mind-shutting experiment."
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough. So anyway,
Ian, can you bring it back with your choice?
Yep, absolutely. I was, bimbling aircraft. Which ones do you want? I don't know. Obviously, I wouldn't go for a Piper Cub. I mean, they're great in the summer for starting barbecues, but that's about it, isn't it? So
what?
I spent ages. I spent many years, more than 20 years, listening to people going, "Oh my God, Cubs are just so amazing. They're just so great." And then I flew a Cub. I think it was some kind of anyway, whatever it was. I can't even remember the version of the Cub. It was rubbish. It was like the stick was connected with porridge links. Terrible thing. Anyway, talking of summer bimblers, I went for this Tiger Moth, absolute classic. Bloody awful handling airplane. A bit of a pain because you got to hand swing it. You got a gypsy engine in it, which is kind of interesting when it probably needs 4 hours maintenance for every hour you're flying it. But it's kind of like a comedy airplane. It sounds great. But the handling just makes you laugh. It's just so weird and wonderful and wacky that it's so. And what better airplane to bimble over the UK countryside than a Tiger Moth? That's what I say.
Yeah. Flyer magazine says, is Ian mad?
No, clearly not mad. I reckon a tiger moth is, the skid on the back's a bit of a pain if you're kind of using it on anything tarmac.
Vince Chadwick has hit the nail on the head.
It does have worse handling than a Cub, but no one spent 20 years telling me how brilliant the handling is. It's comedy handling. It's so comedy that it makes you laugh. The Cub is just pathetic.
Keir Williams says the whole Flyer team by the editor has lost the plot. Thank you.
He's your mate, Ed. He would say that.
I think this could clearly be a time where we need input from the guest. So, oh no, we both hit the button at the same time. Rob, no,
stop it.
So, why does a bimbling aeroplane have to be quiet or slow?
This is a good question, and it's subject to debate.
Just think of, before you give us your answer, Rob, just imagine a summer's evening, the sun setting, the shadows are long, the green fields, the rolling hills. You just want to be going butting around like, you don't want to be doing like 140 knots in an extra upside down.
I do. But I think the choice, it would be a Stearman for me. Because it's big, it's noisy, but it's open cockpit, so you get a nice bit of fresh air. And I fit in one, so that'd be good.
I think a Stearman's a good call.
That's a very good call.
Yeah, that's a good shout. Nice low revving radial. David David would like to say that you're banned from Easter for tearing up the runway with a skid.
Okay, I won't bring my fantasy tiger moth up there, I promise.
That's it, yeah. You can't bimble. Can't bimble down. Right, yeah, okay, fair enough.
Why would you want to?
Steve Middleton says, controversial. A guest wins.
Yeah. About that 100% score on the right stuff quiz. I need to change that a little. There was a little bit. Actually, Vince Chadwick was a little bit like, I'm not sure about that because he would have chosen the low-level route, if that's what it's called these days, over a transit. But I think I'm with you, Rob. If you can get a transit, that's much better.
Yeah, they're pretty good at the moment. It's dead quiet.
Unless you get, I know exactly. Unless you're going into Barton, obviously, and then that's where you want to go, I suppose.
An interesting choice. I'm just going through the comments, but someone suggested the Silence Twister. I've not flown one, but we've got a local one around here, and the guy who flies that loves it. And I think you've got an invite to fly it, haven't you, Ian? So
I did have an invite to fly it last year. I might get in touch with him and see if that still stands and have a little.
I've always liked those.
So. Yeah, they're quite punchy on price, though, aren't they? I suppose it's a fantasy hangar, so it doesn't really matter. Yeah. I was going to go for an Aeronca Champ, but I think I've already got one of those in my hangar because I think they've got an element of comedy handling to them as well. Sort of more adverse yaw than you can shake a stick at, haven't they?
Yeah. Well, I think bimbling is all about just being there in the moment and having some nice open air and just looking down on the world. So
absolutely,
there's some good choices there, but clearly Johnny's hair is going to be on fire, and
Dave's going to disappear. Going, how do I get this thing done? Yeah. So okay. Any other winning suggestions from the comments?
Steve Middleton suggests the Weed Hopper Microlight, which you'll have to do some Googling if you don't know what one of those is. But as he said, it's not fast enough to do anything else.
Yes.
Fair enough.
Quite like a Peter
Mark Litherland says Stearman is the only decent answer.
Yeah. Got a point, sadly. Sadly. Yeah.
The Peter pole is a ideal bimbler as well. I did toy with that idea.
Yeah, Pete and Pole's been suggested. David Eade suggests VP1.
Someone mentioned to me today, and I was talking about little single seaters, Taylor monoplanes. I did kind of think of a little Taylor monoplane.
That's that would be quite a busy aeroplane to bimble. So
busy.
What
with its array of glass cockpits? You mean?
That's well, it's kind of small, and you're in there, and you've got your VW running away quite fast, and I don't know. Bimbling is all about a bit of relaxation. I feel so.
No one's chosen a glider, have they?
No.
Okay, fair enough. Right. Well, in that case, I think we're going to have to not reluctantly, joyously congratulate Rob for his victory there.
Yes.
Well done, Rob. And we'll see you in the. If we see a big steerman in the low-level route, we'll notice you. We'll wave as we go by. Great. Thank you very much. Let's move on to the next thing. Cheers. Time for some events, Dave. Hit us with your event.
Well, events this weekend are going to be challenging because of the weather. That's a surprise, British summer weather. And we've just heard that the Vintage Piker Aircraft Club event at Bagby, that was supposed to be on Saturday, has been cancelled. At the moment, the Independence Day fly-in at Priory Farm in Norfolk on the 4th, at the moment, anyway, it's still going ahead. And also the LAA 75 Mini Tour, which kicks off on Monday the 5th with Bodmin as the first overnight stop. At the moment, I think the weather's picking up a bit after the weekend, so they should be all right. What we can say is definitely not coming up, unfortunately, is the SSDR Freedom Rally that was due to be held at Enstone on the 9th to the 11th of July. The BMA, who sort of are behind it, they've postponed it because they've realised it didn't meet the COVID regulations. The sun has just streamed in from my port side and obliterated me. I'm looking a little bit like a Doctor Who Dalek victim at the moment.
Reports of a small nuclear explosion in Plymouth dockyard.
Dave's gone extreme.
Anyway, so that's it, I'm afraid. Not a great deal to say about events. Johnny, I think it's over to you. Got any news?
Yeah, so we'll start with the club flying at Slape. Now, the forecast isn't great. I know, obviously, VPAC have cancelled their gathering at Bagby. So we'll probably make a final call tomorrow after a good look at the forecast. We've got some proposed alternative dates. And I have, hot off the press, got an unofficial TAF through from Simon as we were live, which I'll put up here. There we go. That's completely unofficial. Don't base your flying on this. Wait until you see an official one. But that's his observations for how things are looking for Saturday at Slape. I'll give you some time to digest.
It's like being presented with the countdown numbers question, isn't it?
Well, I have to say, if I woke up and saw that TAF,
it meets the long TAF, argument.
I'd be looking for another TAF that I preferred.
So we'll keep you all updated tomorrow and let you know how it's going. But on the positive side, we've got James Ketchell booked in for 7 p.m. next Monday. That is not weather dependent. He will be here chatting about his flight around the world in a gyrocopter. So we'll send you a link to watch that on Monday. That'll be again on YouTube. And then I'll also be talking to Patty Wagstaff end of next week. So if you do have any questions that you want to ask her about her amazing career as an airshow and aerobatic display competition aerobatic pilot, feel free to send them to us and we can put those to her to find out the answers. And of course, as ever, if you're not a member, just head to fly.co.uk and click the club tab at the top and you can join from £7.50 per quarter.
Perfect.
Well done, Johnny.
Yep, got that right. Eventually, time to change the price to fool you. Okay, so I do believe if that's all we got for events and stuff like that, quick look at QSY. Who's got the first QSY story then?
Somebody called SJ.
Yeah. Who's SJ? Sam and Johnny.
I've gone formal.
Sam and Johnny Esquire.
This is the Goodyear blimp, which has been knocking about the south of the UK for the past few days. I know back in the comments from earlier when we were talking about the Airlander, lots of you had said that you had seen it. And it had been over for the British Touring Car Championship at Brands Hatch. And then it flew over central London. And then today I noticed it was up as far as Winchester, pootling around, just doing whatever it's doing, advertising.
Winchester's not that far up, is it?
No.
Considering it's based out of Calais, it's actually flying.
And only does what, 20 knots?
I think I saw 35 on flight radar.
Oh. Based out of Calais. Wow.
Mm.
There you go.
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah. As David Eads points out, bimbling.
Bimbling. Yes.
Maybe that's the answer. We need a Goodyear airship.
Yeah, but not to get. If we wanted to visit David at Easter in a Goodyear airship from Calais, we'd be there at Christmas, wouldn't we?
It'd be an epic.
Yeah. Okay, Dave.
So next QSY item, Red Bull, who obviously have a lot of money, they've gone for this crazy story. They've got a video out on YouTube, and they've taken one of their old Formula One cars with David Coulthard driving it across the Czech Republic and Slovakia, the old Czechoslovakia, looking at all the castles, of which there are a lot in the Czech Republic and Slovakia. And somewhere along the way, he met up with Martin Sonka, who flies display aircraft, aerobatics. He's also a Red Bull sponsored pilot. And they did this stunt above a runway where Martin Sonka flew inverted above the Formula One car. And clearly, to stay inverted, he had to go at a fair speed. So the Formula One car they're both going at a fair speed. And it was a real stunt. It wasn't just mocked up. It took them a few goes, obviously, but they've done it for real.
It's very impressive. It's worth watching the video, isn't it? Because you look at the photo and you go, "Oh, they've just passed." But actually, it's proper Top Gun style. It's like, because I was inverted, and he's right there.
Yeah. We did look at including a little bit of video, but there was all sorts of copyright blinking issues, so we decided not to do that. However, in the next issue of Flyer, which is coming out next week, there's a bit about it, and there are links to all the videos, so you can catch up there.
Yeah.
Excellent.
I don't know why, but I haven't seen the video, so it's probably not fair. But it's not made me go, "Oh, I must go and see that." It's like, yeah, whatever. But, perhaps
the bit where Martin Sonka flies inverted over the Formula One car is quite extraordinary. It really is just hanging there. Anyway,
I'll send myself an email and tell myself to make sure I go and find my aviation soul again or something.
Right. Well, you're going to love this next item, Ian. This is the Russians are going about eVTOLs in a completely different way. They've produced the cyclo car. So these wheels on the side of the car revolve at high speed and sort of alter the lift, and so you can go up, or you can go forwards or backwards and that sort of thing. The inventor of it says it is the ideal answer. However, it is very difficult to make and control.
There is some aerodynamic science to that, but I can't help but thinking it actually looks like Hot Point made a tumble dryer airplane.
It does.
Yeah.
Yes. It comes with
like you don't need Aeroshell. You need some. You need Calgon.
You need, or Lenore.
It does come with instructions not to give hand signals, clearly.
Yes. Nick Allen says surplus Soviet surplus washing machine drums.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, Catkin says, if Dyson made cars, does it do the vacuuming too?
It probably does if you stand underneath it. Yes.
That's it.
Yeah. Well, one of those leaf blower things.
That's a helicopter, isn't it?
Apparently, some parts of Florida they use when they got like a frost coming. I don't know if they still do it, but they used to. If there was a frost and they wanted to save the trees and the fruit from being frostbitten, they'd go out and fly for hours like helicopters up and down just to keep the air circulating.
Oh, that's environmentally aware, isn't it?
I think this was before. This was probably before people were worried.
Someone who flies an R-44 for just purely to dry cherries in Washington. So if the cherries get wet, you go out and you fly very low over the cherry groves, and actually dry. It shakes the trees and dries the cherries and stops them rotting. It's really important.
Wow, there you go.
See, every day's a school day.
Yeah,
every day's a school day. Absolutely, yeah. Well, I mentioned at Washington at the moment, they're probably under, what do they call that? The high pressure bubble or cap or something.
There's probably not too much cherry drying going on, given that they had record high temperatures.
I mean, there's got to be some hot and high challenges out there at the moment if you're flying out there, aren't you?
Yeah.
Anyway, Anyway, there we are. I do believe it is 8:30. So at this
Perfect.
point, I would like to say thank you very much to 4Flight for sponsoring the live stream and Fly with Sentry. If you want to find out more about the ADS twin channel ADS-B receiver, get over to www.flywithsentry.com/flyer and take a look. So thank you very much to 4Flight. We will see you all next Thursday for another event where we might even try and get something on about electric power motors if we can get it sorted out between now and then. Who knows? Or maybe we won't. Maybe we'll have something different. Thank you very much, Ed, Dave, and Johnny, and see you all next week.
Take care, everyone. Fly safe.
Oh, where's my mask gone? There it is.
Slick to the end.
Hang on. I'm getting there. There you go.